Welcome back. It is Bus Picks. My name is Dio Reynoso. That's Donovan Dehan.
How we doing?
And it's week 4 of the NFL season.
Yes.
MLB playoffs are starting.
Yeah.
It's October 1st as of recording right now. 100%, this is a biased take.
Sure.
October's the best month in sports.
I think without a doubt. It's up there for me.
What's your argument? I could see the argument being November.
For me, it's also early in the year where you get NBA and NHL playoffs. That's a contester for me.
That's like May, June.
Around there where you get them back.
And then like baseball's like...
And you get baseball just starting as well. I think those are like the ninth little pockets.
You're starting to see fun baseball. It's like the heat of college football. Like you're still trying to figure out who's good, who's not in college football. Yeah. NFL's like October is kind of like the most... All right, who's real, who's not? Like, let's start getting down to it. And then we get the beginning of basketball, but all of preseason's in October. And, like, preseason basketball is so dramatic.
It's so over the top.
And, like, NHL hockey, all these contract debates that are happening right now with goalies in Boston, like, what's going to happen? These guys are already playing preseason. It's starting. You get MLB playoffs and you get WNBA playoffs now, which is, like, I know it's the end of it, but, like, it's going to go 2 weeks into October. November is my only debate because it's like, oh, it's really important football across the entire board. You get really good basketball in-game tournament now. College basketball starts in Feast Week. Thanksgiving is the best week of sports on the planet. Yeah. It's awesome. I don't know. I just love October. I love
you're excited for the season.
Because like football every day starts in 2 weeks, and it's like on my calendar, Maction Tuesdays. I'm shaking. I love it. Don, give me a fact of the day.
Fact of the day. Because this team's not been doing too well, I thought like more positive fact, more positive vibe. Since their founding in 1995, did you know the Jags are undefeated in the final week of the season when they play at home? They're 9-0. When they play a home game on the last week of the season.
They have to. 3 of those games have to be against the Colts.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
Typically, the last game of the season is against the Colts. They're in Indianapolis this year.
Oh, that makes me feel so good.
But at least some positivity for the Jags.
We're going to talk about the Jags today.
Yeah.
We're actually going to talk about the Jags right away.
Sure.
We're going to go into this new segment. It's called What's Wrong. It's where we're going to go over what we got right so far the NFL season before our preseason takes and what we're kind of wrong about. We had exact opposite problems. You had a bunch of where you were rights.
A couple.
And not a lot of where you were wrongs. And I have a naughty list like Santa has in his attic. Of just the worst takes I've ever given.
I think the big difference is I was a lot more pessimistic coming into it.
You
were swinging for fences.
And you know what? In a world where defense has shown up in the league, you've been so right.
I mean, because I like defense. I'm one of the few sickos who root for a defensive battle game.
If I see a game finish 10-9 like I did in the Broncos-Jets game again, I'll lose it.
Oh, no. That one's different. That's not a defensive masterclass. That was sloppy play on both sides, too.
Yeah, and I blame the Hurricane. I blame the Hurricane in that game.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it.
Sure.
Don, give me your first where you were right.
Where I was right, let's get into the Jets and Broncos. I think the Jets living and dying by Aaron Rodgers and having a struggle for Rodgers becoming, like, he's not returning the form. He's not... He lost to a quarterback who only threw for 60 yards last week. He is one of the...
They played in a hurricane.
They did play in a hurricane.
They played in a hurricane.
They did play in the rough weather, but he is not the Aaron Rodgers we're used to seeing. He is not pushed... Like, if you look at metrics, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but he's not pushing the ball down the field.
No.
He is very accurate, close to the line of scrimmage, but he is not allowing the deep ball to develop. He is one of the shortest snap-to-pass quarterbacks in the league right now. He is not what everyone expected coming in, and that was my big warning.
A lot of people aren't pushing the ball down the field.
Yes.
A lot of people are throwing it behind the line of scrimmage, including really good quarterbacks this year like Jaden Daniels, who's throwing a lot of screens and a lot of stuff behind the line of scrimmage. And stuff
it's working really well against these defenses.
That's kind of the name of the game right now.
Patrick
Mahomes is doing it. A lot of people are doing it. I think Aaron Rodgers and the whole optimism that I've had about the Jets has been based off of this. They're a good enough team. All they need is a serviceable quarterback. And I think Aaron Rodgers, if you look across the entire league right now, he lands squarely in like that 15, 16
He's
range.
right now by QBR rated 17th to 18th at the moment with a 92.6 QBR.
And they've had 30 overall quarterbacks. Like they've
Yes.
had guys who are awful.
No, but that was my more,
And they've
yeah, no, they have had bad QBs, but it's
Yeah.
more tempering expectations. People were thinking the minute Rodgers came back, this was a guaranteed Super Bowl bound team,
yeah.
and we have not seen that.
I
That was my bigger point. Is I don't think just Rodgers coming back will save this team and move it into the Chiefs like top tier realm. I think it'll move it into a wild card possibly at a peak, but I don't think it's moving into divisional round or AFC Championship game. And at least that was my prediction during the beginning of the season, and I have yet to see play that supports anything that against me.
I think they're. I said it from the beginning. I think they're a wild card team, and I think across the board, the AFC is very shown. Like, is very much shown. There's about 5 real teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
I think it's the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs. What's the last one?
I think Texans could be flirting with
Texans,
that conversation.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I think the Steelers and the Jets are in 2 really good spots to be like, come and take a wild card from us.
Yeah.
Because who's going to take it from them? The Chargers, the Raiders, the Colts. Those are all the teams that are currently.
yeah. The Dolphins need to figure out a QB situation. They were
think
in that conversation.
The Dolphins
ahead of Tua.
have never had a lead in 4 games.
No, but ahead of the Tua injury, I think they were in the conversation. But since then, no.
They're out. As of right now, if Tua's not back for another 5 games,
Yeah.
this season's over.
Which-
Because it doesn't look like they're going to win games.
No, their system is either too complex for most QBs. It takes a few weeks.
Yeah.
Or Tua's just that good, which
Which it could be crazy.
I lean in that direction personally.
You're part of Tuanon.
I think Tua's a very competent, very strong quarterback,
Tua
but
guy.
he does return to practice this week.
We'll see how that
We'll
goes.
see.
I would love to see
He's
Tua come
symptom
back.
free. At least he's symptom free as of now.
I kind of touched on it. My first thing I got right is the Steelers will finish above 8-5 or 8.5 wins.
Yeah.
I said
9
they're
and
going to
8.
have a positive season. I said they'd flirt with playoffs. I think their back end of the schedule is still going to be very, very difficult. But because of the stacking they're going to be able to do in the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
and because down the road it's already happened, you can argue it all you want. Quarterbacks get hurt in the NFL now.
Yes.
There was back-to-back seasons of over 50 starting quarterbacks in back-to-back seasons.
Yes.
We're on track to have that again this year.
Yeah.
The Steelers played their last game, knocked out a starting quarterback, had to play a backup. They just so happened to lose because Joe Flacco's kind of good.
Yeah.
They're going
Warts and all.
to have to play another few backup quarterbacks down the line that you're like, I can't believe they got away with playing the Bengals with this guy, you know,
Yeah,
or whoever.
they might get it back. Yeah, they're going to get a couple.
That's what I'm saying. And they're going to end up with 9-8 again. And you're going to have to look at me and be like, wow, they made the playoffs and they lost to the Bills at home.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I think the 3-1 has been an interesting run. This is where they start playing some really stronger teams.
You've been impressed with Justin Fields or no?
You
are a Justin Fields guy.
I'm a Justin Fields guy when he was on the Bears. I think he's been playing.
No. You can't.
Let me finish. Let me finish. I was gonna say I have been impressed with what the change is because he's gone from eccentric quarterback trying to make the play always happen to he's a lot more controlled now. He's more of a game manager position.
Yeah.
And I think that is benefiting his career immensely.
If the Steelers didn't have a 17-point deficit last week to come back from,
Yeah.
they win that game. Justin Fields was playing very well down the stretch, and as a Colts fan, I was nervous.
But I think
that game.
the Colts did shift to more of a shell defense. They allowed the short stuff a lot more, which benefits Fields.
Yeah.
Fields, I think,
was
is
running, he
still
was making
struggling to push the ball down.
Everyone's
His
struggling.
Yeah,
now.
but it's just there's no accuracy outside the numbers for Fields that I've seen consistently.
George Pickens is really going out there and making a big plays for him. George Pickens was on fire.
Pickens is great, but he's the only guy that really other than Darnell Washington's big run. He's not. No one's really scaring me yet.
My second where I got right, I got the NFC North pretty spot on. I didn't think the Vikings were going to be this good, but I did expect this to be the best division in football. I think this is the best division in football.
It's there.
And I'm going to take a mini shot here. I think there's a real chance that every single team in this division makes the playoff. Or they're all going to be on the graphic until week 18.
Yeah, I think the Bears are the one big question mark with if Caleb can if the defense is going to just be able to withstand this season.
Yeah.
Because Caleb's still developing. I think that's going to be the biggest question mark.
Really good last week.
He did. He put up his best game of the year last week against the Rams.
And I feel like in a terrible offensive coordinator, the weapons, they're growing. They're starting to get the run game going. I think down the stretch, I'm not going to say they're a good team, but to say that they're not going to be flirting, or week 18 we're like, well, if the Rams lose this game and the Cardinals win this game, then the Bears are in,
Yeah, like one of those takes 3-4 different scenarios. But
I think like 2. I don't think they're like completely like out
no,
of
they're
left
going to
field.
hold a percentage.
Like right now, would you rather be on the side of the Dallas Cowboys making the playoffs or the Bears making the playoffs?
Oh, that's gross.
Like think about it.
Yeah,
they're both pretty close, right?
They're both pretty close. I'd have to look at exact schedules.
That's what I'm saying. Like it comes
but
down
like,
to
I don't like that's my answer.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like like the path is there.
The path is there for them.
Give me your where you were right.
The second one I was right. Raiders having a complete lack of run game the minute Jacobs is gone.
Don,
That was the biggest red flag. So many people were buying into Zamir White was going to be the answer.
I didn't buy into it, but I was like, maybe.
They're averaging 14 yards less a game right now on the ground. And it is dramatic. They are the second to last run offense in the league right now. They are only averaging 76 yards on the ground a game through 4 weeks.
Watching Madison and White try to run for
It's not good.
And the Raiders' offensive line isn't terrible. It's not great, but like
Gardner's not getting lit up every game.
He's getting hit, but like he's moving, he's doing his thing. I expected a little bit more from Zamir White. I didn't expect him to be all pro level Zamir White. I thought he'd be serviceable. I thought
60, 70 yards a game.
I expected him to be okay. I expected him to be like a 780-yard rusher with like 6 touchdowns.
And that'd be efficient. That'd be fine. Like if you get 3.5 to 4 yards a carry, that's where I wanted him to be.
This is like, there's always about like 2 or 3 teams in the league where like they just don't find a running back and the running game's terrible every year.
This is one of them.
This is one of them, and I wouldn't have bet them before the season to be like, this is the bad running back.
But that's what I was saying. I didn't trust Zamir coming in. Same thing as like what's going on with the Buccaneers. I just don't trust Rashad or Zamir White.
Rashad, Bucky Irving.
No.
Bucky Irving.
I like Bucky Irving.
I like
Bucky Irving, but he's never going to get that starting role this season. I think he should. I want him to, but he's just not. The coaching staff won't allow it until late.
I'm a big Bucky Irving guy.
Yeah.
All right. I have another one.
Sure.
My last one where I was right, and I was really, really down in the dumps because I've gotten a lot wrong.
Yeah.
So I just plucked this one. Everyone and their mother took this one. I'm gonna take it.
Okay.
The Cleveland Browns are bad. The Cleveland Browns are bad at football, and the Cleveland Browns might be the worst team in football.
Yeah.
When I watch them schematically across the board, I'm like, oh, not only are you guys bad this year, you're bad for the next like 2 years. Me and you were in the living room talking.
Excuse me?
No, you got home from work, and I was just like going through Deshaun Watson's contract, and you're like, let me look at it, and we just sat there and we're like, $120 million for the next 2 years.
They're locked in until 2026. Post June 1st, 2026, and that's when they can finally cut him without any dead money to the cap. Otherwise, it's over $80 million dead cap per year.
That's insane.
Yeah, like he has him in a stranglehold right now.
Last where you were right.
Last one I was right. I think Mike McCarthy being in the hot seat, that is a big question mark for the Cowboys right now.
I almost did my Shane Steichen one, but I think he's going to keep his job.
I don't think McCarthy is going to turn this team around in any significant way for the Cowboys. Just their defense has disappeared.
You don't think the Cowboys mediocre their way out of this?
They mediocre their way, but after a season where they're trying to say they're all in, I think they're going to call for heads at the end of this year. Like fans are going to want big change.
Yeah.
Like they were already upset coming into the season with the running back debacle. Now that they have no pass game that's consistent outside of Ferguson and Lamb, like the fact that Tolbert is putting up better yards than Cook right now is ridiculous.
Cook is kind of cooked. Like that, it's bad how quickly he got bad.
But the biggest red flag to me is this defense not returning to form. We saw it tail off at the end of last season, and it is still in that spot coming into the year.
This defense was really disappointing to me.
Yes.
It's been very, very bad for me.
Yeah.
Here's my thing about the Cowboys. Stop me if I'm being insensitive, all right?
Sure.
I think Jerry Jones is getting so old, and like it's just like I kind of just want the security of like I know what Mike McCarthy's going to bring, and maybe one day he'll figure it out. He's kind of getting to a point where like he can't be so involved, and he really just wants a Super Bowl. I figured it out, and I think I know what's going to happen.
Okay.
I think the Cowboys are going to mutter out and kind of do the same thing the Cowboys have done for the past 12, 15 years, and then Jerry Jones is going to sadly pass away, and then the next year they're going to rally around his death and win a Super Bowl.
It'd be interesting to see. But my question is if they don't make playoffs this year,
Yeah.
considering how strong the NFC North has been, if there's the wild card spots are taken out,
Yeah.
Eagles make a comeback, Commanders are looking good.
But let's just say they get out.
if they don't even make the wild card,
Bears slip in. The
Bears
miracle
slip in.
happens.
is McCarthy fired? If they don't make
How bad is
after
it? Are they a
paying
10-win
CD
team, or are they like 8 and 9?
I don't think you need to get like 10 wins would get you into playoffs. I think right
So
now.
then 8 and 9, and they
8,
don't get
9,
in.
and they don't get in.
Yeah, I think he
After
gets
you paid
fired.
Dak, after you paid CD.
I think their expectation isn't Super Bowl. I think their expectation is get to the playoffs.
Yes.
And be healthy enough to compete. I
And
think that's their.
That's the hope I think for
Yeah.
Jerry Jones right now. But if they can't even get there,
Yeah.
I think heads are going to roll.
I'm gonna go on to my first where I was wrong.
Sure.
I was wrong about a lot, but I don't think I was more wrong about anything. And this is something I thought you would say you were right about. The Bengals are bad.
We went over that a little bit last week.
Yeah,
I just felt like,
I don't-
especially with us playing them this week,
Yeah.
you don't overlook a divisional rival.
I'm not-
like no matter where they sit, you don't look past a divisional rival.
I'm in that same seat.
Yeah, it's like you keep it
I'm
you
playing-
keep it cool until next week.
I'm playing an 0-3 Jaguars. We haven't won in Jacksonville since like 2014.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be really nice on Jaguar Twitter right now.
No, Jamar Chase and covered in baby oil. Like I think we're just going to relax on it.
He's such a he's the best player on the Bengals.
No, I love his post game afterwards when they brought that up, and he's like, "No, are you weird?" Like,
Yeah, he's like, what are you guys talking about?
didn't play it up. He's like, "No, I'm just that's just me."
Yeah.
I like that. I did like that class.
Bengals, Joe Burrow. Don, I'm going to give you your flowers here. It's starting to happen where people are like, Joe Burrow's trying too hard to be cool.
Yeah.
Joe, you sniffed this out 2 years ago. You're like, he's not cool. And at first I was like, you're just being a hater. He's a division quarterback. I'm doing the same thing with CJ Stroud where I'm like, he's not that good, but like, I know he's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, you are like, he's not that good. He's good.
He's good. He's
But
competent.
you are way more like he's Dak Prescott, not Josh Allen.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's where I wanted him to be. I'm not trying. He's starting caliber.
Yes.
I am not trying to debate Joe Burrow is a starting quarterback in the NFL, especially this season.
You're just like
But he's a game manager. Like
Yeah.
he's Brock Purdy, which I think is a
Oh.
fair comparison. Like he's not bringing anything. He's not bringing anything extra outside of being a consistent pocket passer.
But sometimes being a consistent pocket passer and a game manager wins you Super Bowls.
It does.
That's
And
what Patrick Mahomes has done that for 2 Super Bowls now.
But Patrick Mahomes has athleticism that very few quarterbacks have.
Correct. Yeah, he's awesome. He's
Brock Purdy
awesome.
has some movement on the legs. Joe Burrow has some movement on the legs. But Purdy's not the guy who's going to take over and
or Burrow.
or Burrow and go, we're down by 3 touchdowns in a
Yeah.
playoff game. That's fine. We'll take the field and command it.
What were you wrong about, Don?
For me, my big one, I was dead wrong in the AFC South.
Same.
I had Jags finishing in second. I was touting Will Levis to begin the season. I said he was going to be fun. I didn't think he was going to be.
Whoa, you were not wrong about that, sir. Will Levis is so much fun.
He's fun for the wrong reasons. I thought we were going to get some weird highlight play where it's like he broke 3 sacks and just did the Anthony Richardson off the back foot launch.
Well, thank you
and
for
it's
that.
like, no, he's just a meme.
No, and that's awesome. We need one of those.
Yeah, we do need a Nathan Peterman.
He's like a sacrificial lamb. It's good. Like I'm kind of like if Will Levis was like if I could vote for quarterbacks, I'd want 4 more years of Will Levis right now.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think the league needs it.
I think we need one.
But I was wrong on my take of I thought he was going to be fantasy football relevant. I thought he was going to be, you know what? He's going to be exciting. He's going to make a Jameis Winston kind of career, and it's not there.
I'm going to stay in that division. My next one is talking about Trevor Lawrence. I was wrong about the Jaguars. I do blame the coaching a little bit more than I do Trevor. But at this point, I am leaning on what I was told and what I thought I saw in college of Trevor Lawrence and the flashes that I saw in the NFL. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is ever going to be able to crack that top 10 or even be able to sit in that Dak Prescott sweet box of like where Kirk Cousins and all them sit at 13, 12, and 14.
Yeah.
I think he's struggling to stay in the top 20, and that's really, really bad for a team that just paid him.
When his career stats are worse than Daniel Jones right now.
That's bad.
And I think that says a lot.
And he's got weapons. Brian Thomas is good.
Yes.
Christian Kirk is good. Evan Ingram, when he comes back, will be fun. Tank Bigsby is a better running back than people want to give him credit for.
No, he's explosive.
Yeah.
9 carries for 70 yards.
That offense is just not creative, and they're the same boring, stagnant Jaguars that I didn't want to see, and I really thought there was potential for them, and there really isn't.
They feel very one-dimensional.
My last, where I was wrong, Baker Mayfield's playing out of his mind,
Yes.
and I'm so happy I'm wrong about this. He's playing way better than I ever thought, especially with this injured defense. Now, things can change, but in week 4, as of right now, he's impressed me enough to say I think I'd rather have Baker Mayfield on his contract than $10 million off of Dak Prescott's.
Yeah, I think so, because Baker has that upside.
Yeah.
That Dak is the garbage time king. He pads his stats
So
at the end
good.
of games,
He's
and
so
it's
good at
great.
it.
Like for fantasy football, like owner of CeeDee Lamb, it's wonderful.
No, just
Like for a Rico Dowdle believer, I love seeing that garbage time checkdowns.
even as like a Cowboys fan, you're kind of like, we're kind of in it because this game is not going to end without a one-score game. Like,
yeah, like and you could flirt with, hey, maybe
Every
they
single
make
time.
one mistake and then Cowboys get the lead. Baker's dragging this team to kicking and screaming, going, we're going to fight for every
It's good
yard.
coaching.
It's great coaching on
and
their part.
I don't want to talk about the Buccaneers for too long, but I will say this. When you think about the 2020s, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me take a step back. When you think about the 2010s, what are the teams that you think about that dominated that decade? Give me 3.
I mean, well, you have the Patriots. I think are the
Patriots.
easy one to say there. Ravens early on, and Seahawks.
You would say the Seahawks owned the 2010s. I would say it'd be the Patriots.
Yeah.
I would say it'd be the Seahawks, and then I'd say it'd be the Kansas City Chiefs. They won one in 2019. They were kind of good,
Yeah.
but they won the entire division every single year from 2013 and on.
That's true. That's true.
Or the Philadelphia Eagles, who were really good for a stretch. Those are the teams. I think when we look back at the 2020s, one of the most dominant teams we're going to be talking about is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Since 2020, they've been very, very good.
Yeah. No, 4 years now, they
And
have
won
been
Super
a
Bowl.
strong team.
Like, they're stronger than the Rams in this decade, and they have a Super Bowl. I think they're a top 2 team in this decade right now when we talk about legacy.
I think they're in the conversation. It's more is it sustainable considering Mike Evans, his age,
Yeah.
Godwin, his age.
But this is a
If
program
they
headed
could
in the right
bring-
direction.
Yes, it's in the right direction. If you're able to develop some guys underneath, I think they're moving forward.
What's your last where you were wrong?
Mine is the Saints.
Aints?
The Saints.
The Aints.
The Aints. I did not have them being. I had them 4th in the division, finishing. I wasn't on the Dennis Allen hot seat train, but I was that they are only going to be like 6 wins at best. I did not expect the number 1 scoring offense, a top 8 defense. Like
Are they still the number 1 scoring offense?
They are still the number 1 scoring offense right now in the league.
They've looked bad the past 2 weeks.
They have looked rough, but I didn't think that they would have this kind of ceiling.
I think that was just the first 2 weeks rust. I think now that people have gotten film on wide receiver motions and they're like, well, we know how to cover this. It's very quickly stagnated that offense.
I think it'll be interesting to see. Other than a few mistakes, they were right there with the Falcons. Like they kept the Falcons at bay for the most of that game.
The Falcons won without scoring an offensive touchdown.
Yeah, it was just mistakes on special teams.
And Derek Carr threw a pick 6.
Yeah,
and they fumbled, and like the offense was stagnant. Like they weren't scoring a ton of points. Shaheed hasn't like balled out in the past 2 weeks.
He had a decent game last week, but not.
I
I think
not
the
the
deep ball will
40-point bombs
No,
that
it's
they
not
were
the
dropping in the
40-point
first
bombs.
2 weeks.
But I think that they have
Against the Panthers and the Cowboys team that we now know
is
are
a fraud.
bad.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think they could return to that. That's what I'm curious to see. Considering some of the rougher defenses they play in the next couple weeks, they can return to it.
I guess you're right. We thought they were going to be terrible.
We thought they were gonna be-
a top 5 pick for sure.
We thought they were going to be in the Carolina Panther,
Yeah.
in that tier of
Yeah.
4 wins, 5 wins is a good year.
No, they're way more in like the weekend.
7,
Watch us
maybe
get on that
8.
graphic.
Yeah.
On Thanksgiving Day, you're going to be eating your food and be like, the Saints?
Saints are there?
They got 7 wins, 7-5.
Yeah, so I'll take the L on
Yeah.
that one. Did not see that coming.
Let's get into replay review, where we're gonna go through 7 games last week. We went from doing every single game. Me and Don talked about it, and we were like, it's way too many games. Let's just talk about the ones that we have something fun to say about.
Yeah.
So we picked 7 games, primetime games, games that everybody watched. Let's start with the first one, the Thursday Night Football game, Cowboys versus Giants. Don?
We saw more yellow than a rubber duck convention. Like, this was a bad game. This was rough to watch. I barely want to acknowledge it happened.
Okay, let's, because so do I.
Yeah, this was... Ugh.
Daniel Jones does this to me every September.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, but is he that bad? And I know he's bad, and I know it. And Giants fans are like, dude, we've been doing it for like 6 years now.
Yeah.
We don't know either. And I know he's not terrible. And I think he's the worst starting quarterback in the league? No, not by a long margin. But I also know he's not good.
But...
I get it's a bad relationship.
It's a bad relationship with him. But, I mean, he has next to no help on the team. Like, Neighbors is great, but they are force-feeding Neighbors the ball so much. He's taking big hits already.
Wan'Dale Robinson is getting force-fed. That man had
14 targets last week.
Insane. On what was the average depth for a route? It was like 3 yards.
I think it was in the negative if you look at his average, because everything was screens.
Oh my gosh, it
was bad.
Awesome.
And then on the ground, 1.1 yards per carry for the entire Giants team on average.
To be fair, that defense shut down the run.
Yes.
That was a defense that wasn't shutting down the run. They somehow were able to stop a really hot Devin Singletary, who'd been pretty good the past few weeks.
He's been competent, but he hasn't been explosive.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest worry with this Giants team, is there hasn't been that explosive play. Like, Neighbors is good on like, is solid, but there's been nothing else. They're doing the Saquon issue over again. Let's pick our star and drive him into the dirt.
It's almost like ownership's kind of lost it.
And that's my worry with Daniel Jones. I'm like, I don't think Jones is bad. Like, he's bad in this circumstance, but I don't know if
Do you think Daniel Jones should deserve another shot at being a starting quarterback in this league?
Somewhere else where you have 2 competent receivers, 3 competent receivers. I'm not even saying great receivers. Like, if you gave him just some average guys to throw to, I think he'd be in a better situation.
Can I pick your brain for a second?
Sure.
There's a hole in the league of like quarterbacks in their early 30s.
Yeah.
We're kind of missing it because the
elder statesmen, and you have a lot of young guys. There's not much.
Not a lot of guys in the middle. The guys in the middle are kind of like the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes. But like from there, they're like 29, 28, and then it goes straight to 35. The Joe Flacco's, Matthew Stafford's, the Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, those older guys who are like, cool, but the 32s, they're gone.
Yeah, you don't really have that middle tier.
They didn't hit in the middle like those early 2010 drafts.
No, that like Johnny Manziel kind of draft classes.
And I think those quarterbacks, guys like Geno Smith, who are kind of hitting, who have played in that older era of defense, now have like evolved and grown and are now in this point in their careers where they're like, oh, I've seen that 10 years ago. I can figure it out. Yeah. We're missing that era. And I think Daniel Jones in a few years could be kind of one of those 31-year-old good quarterbacks.
He can make the change similar to how Sam Darnold did. I'm not saying to this degree, because I don't think anyone had Sam Darnold doing this.
Dio did. I mean, Sam Darnold.
No, I know you're staying for him, but I don't think even you projected like
4-0?
this. Yeah, no. Like we're hoping like 2 wins. But I think he can make that kind of resurgence. He still has this mobility on his legs that a lot of guys don't have.
Yeah, he's a good athlete,
but he just needs a new circumstance. He needs something new.
Yeah, last thing I want to talk about is Vegas is so good at predicting spreads. The spread was at 5.5. I took the 5.5 points.
Sure.
They miss a kick at the end of the game to put us over the spread. Don't end up covering by half a point. I hate Vegas. I hate kickers because that whole time last week I was on the show telling you Brandon Aubrey took the torch from Justin Tucker. We're giving it back to Justin Tucker. Shout out to Justin Tucker. I'm sorry for the slander. You're amazing. And Brandon Aubrey, you made an enemy for life. I'm not allowed to come out here and talk so highly of you, and then less than 3 days later, you cost me the bet of the week. You're in the dungeon. You're not my bust of the week though, so don't worry.
Oh my goodness.
Don, Vikings, Packers.
This was an interesting game. I think early on, I was definitely like they rushed Love back from his injury. He looked rough to start this game with the 2 interceptions.
And then he just started getting in rhythm.
And then, I think the rhythm, the quick passes, they didn't rely on his athleticism as much in the second half. I think they just sped the game tempo up a little bit, and that helped a lot. A lot more close to the line of scrimmage targets for Wicks. Like, helped a lot.
Wicks is getting... Dontavian Wicks might be a problem on this team.
He's
good.
He's good.
I like Jaden Reed way more.
I like Reed. I think Reed is still
Reed.
the alpha, but then you have Watson, Dobbs, Wicks that are all fighting for that number 2
Watson's
position.
a little banged up now, and I think
Watson's
the Watson
still,
experiment's done.
I think he has that ankle injury that's going to keep him out this week.
But I was really impressed by Jordan Love's ability to come back. Sam Darnold's amazing. This defense is real. I know they let up a bunch of points in the second half, but I think this Vikings defense is ready to come after you.
Yeah.
They've figured out places to replace really key veterans on their defense immediately. I don't know how they're doing it, whether it's scheme or just really good buy-in from the rest of the team. I'm really excited for what the Vikings are doing for this season.
No, I'm right there with you. This is I think these 2 teams are going to be the front runners in the NFC.
Really?
Like, as of how we're seeing them play right now.
Over the Lions?
I think the Lions are in the conversation, but it's those 2 teams. The Lions were the only expected team, I think, playing to that level.
Let's go into the Saints. Falcons. We kind of touched on the Saints a little bit. This game sucked.
The lack of Kyle Pitts use over the last couple of weeks just blows my mind.
I don't think so. I think Kyle Pitts might just be bad.
I don't think Kyle Pitts is bad. They're just they're not scheming at all for him. They're trying to treat him.
It's been 3 different offensive coordinators. I think at some point,
but they're not imaginative coordinators. They're not guys who are creating a dynamic offensive situation.
I understand that, but 3 offensive coordinators not being able to figure out a tight end. At some point, I have to look at the tight end and be like, you might not be the perfect fit here.
I don't think he's the perfect fit there. I think that there are better teams that he could go to that could bring out more of his potential.
Also, I rewatched some film on that game.
Yeah.
His effort is down the toilet now.
Yeah, you could tell he's not mentally is there anymore.
Yeah, I think he's checked out.
I don't want to say that, but
it's his contract year too.
It is his contract year. I think he's trying to go somewhere else that could use him. Tight ends are down across the board right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert are again two of the premier tight ends in terms of consistency.
Yeah, Jack Conklin's like up there too.
Yeah, Cole
Kmet is like good for some reason.
Like they're all good, but I expected the younger guys to take a step forward.
Everybody did.
Yeah, but that's just not there. But yeah, the Pitts worries me. The idea that there wasn't an offensive touchdown at all for the Falcons,
and they still won,
won is concerning for the Saints special teams.
Was this a rip your heart out game for the Saints?
Oh yeah,
Saints going into the season, you talked to them, they were like, "We're gonna suck." Those first 2 games jolted them back into life.
Yes,
and now they're sitting here at week 4 and they're like, "Oh wait, we might actually just suck."
Yeah, it's like, where are we? I think this casts a lot of questions now.
Let's move into the next game. It's the Chiefs versus Raiders.
Chiefs and Chargers.
Chiefs and Chargers, sorry. Chiefs and Chargers. Don, I got to be 100% honest with you.
Yeah.
I didn't watch this game. I had to rewatch this game today.
Yeah.
Because I was working all weekend. But I did my best to watch this game. What I do know is this. John Harbaugh's electric.
Yes, he
knows how to coach the hell out of a team. And Patrick Mahomes should be suspended for 1 game for what he did to Rashid Rice.
That was an ugly hit, without a doubt. Like, Mahomes has looked shaky at best for me this season.
He doesn't have weapons. He doesn't.
I mean, but they did on paper. And that's what's bothering me.
The game isn't won on paper,
No, the game
son.
isn't won on paper, but the idea like they went and got Worthy. They had Rice. They had Pacheco. And even when all 3 were fully healthy, you have Kelsey still. They had a decent week 1, but it's not. They haven't shown that chemistry.
They beat a really good team week 1. They beat a very good team.
No, they did.
1.
But I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Since then, there has been not a single. This is the definitive champs.
Well,
game.
since then, their team has been dropping like flies.
Yeah, but you had week 2 where they were still all together.
Yeah,
and
Pacheco was doing really good week 2 until he got hurt.
Yeah. But there hasn't been a definitive game for me yet.
Yeah, I think
everything has been by the scrape of their teeth. Like they played a Chargers team that Herbert was noticeably limping the whole game.
Yeah,
he was playing on a high ankle sprain.
We both thought they weren't going to play
They
him.
should have benched him. Like, think about the future of this team.
I wanted a Heineke game so bad.
They wanted a Heineke game, and it's
wanted
like
it so bad.
it's not there. That's not this roster. Like, Harbaugh kept it close. I think that was a comment.
Cover the spread, buddy. I think it might be the cover the spread GOAT. I think we're going to start betting on the Chargers every week.
I'm not mad at that. Like,
Yeah.
that defense played out of their mind for missing a few weapons, missing Bosa, missing what's his name in the safety?
Derwin James. Suspension for a hit the week before.
Which I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's
that
a
was
whole other
very
thing.
questionable suspension in my mind. Like, the hit was not a good hit, but the idea of,
Even the player came out and was like, that was a legal hit.
yeah, like I was
the
not a
guy who
fan of
got
the
hit.
NFL's
But
take there.
it's almost like the NFL is trying to put him to the side so that way one of the best safeties in the league didn't have to play against an injured, riddled Chiefs in Patrick Mahomes' team.
You know my beliefs on those.
Yeah.
But I think that this is just very interesting. You saw Herbert have a career high 4 times getting hit when the ball was coming out. He never had that in his career, missing Joe Wall, missing both of his tackles, really.
Chiefs' defense is really good.
Yeah, Chris Jones is a problem.
I think that whole defensive line is. I think there's Karl Loftus. I think there's guys all over that defensive line, linebackers, and Nick Bolton. They have. People don't want to talk about it because they want to be like Chiefs can score. Chiefs can score. I think last year the Chiefs figured it out. They're going to play good defense and they're going to do what they can on offense.
Yeah, I think that's where they're at until playoffs.
Now I want to talk about the next game, Ravens Bills. I took Bills money line.
Ooh.
I gave it out to
Yes,
the people.
you did.
I said, "Hey, I think the Bills are the best team running right now in the AFC."
Yep.
A team that I was wrong about. A team that I said wouldn't make the playoffs. A team that I said when they were going to match up against a team like the Ravens, they wouldn't survive. I should have listened to preseason me. Because what I saw was Lamar going off, showing you that he can be the most efficient passer in the league. Maybe that's him and Jaden Daniels. It's them two right now. And Geno Smith's really good.
Yeah, he's right there.
That Ravens defense is a matchup nightmare for specifically built AFC offenses.
Yes, it is. They were able to get pressure on over 44% of snaps to Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And that was mainly rushing 4. That was just different combinations that they were running on the line, different play styles. I think the biggest issue for the Bills, and we saw it a little bit earlier in the season, but it never came until you have a team like the Ravens. The run defense is awful. They do not have anybody in the middle of the field since Milano's out.
They made Derrick Henry look good. It was crazy. I was like, "What? These guys can't tackle." They just let a geriatric man who should probably be in hospice walk down the field for 87 yards. I was like, "This game's already over."
Did you know since 2018, Derrick Henry is second on the list of guys who've hit 20 miles an hour as a ball carrier? And like the number of times they've done that, the only guy beating him out is Tyreek Hill.
You know, I was playing video games with my friends the other day, and I was like, "Well, I hitched my wagon to the worst, take. It's my Skip Bayless LeBron.
It's up there. It's up there.
It's my you gotta just dig in, and you know what? That's fine. I'll be the one person in the world that's like, probably the only Hall of Fame running back that's in the NFL right now. I hate him. I don't want to be that guy. I'm there though.
Yeah,
I can't
double
jump
down
off the ship. I'm sinking with the Titanic. I hate Derrick Henry, and every time he breaks 17 tackles, or a 6'3", 250-pound man shouldn't be outrunning an entire.
No, that should not happen.
But it does. It's happened twice now.
He owns the Ravens record now. Longest run in Ravens history.
That's crazy.
87 yards. It's wild. But I think Bills, they're missing an alpha at this point. Josh Allen, you could tell when they got down, he was looking for
someone to make
the play for him. Like he was getting the ball downfield consistently. He was rolling out of the pocket and looking for that guy that would figure out, here's a soft spot, I will give you the consistent target. And there wasn't anyone who took that step forward in a meaningful way.
Last thing I'm going to talk about this game is you guys lost your defensive coordinator. He's currently in Seattle doing a good job over there. I I've been missing the sauce. I've been missing the sauce that the Ravens defense usually has. But I'm like, where's the creativity? You guys usually are like blitzing safeties and like corners are coming off the block, and you guys are doing some funky stuff. And sometimes it really, really throws the quarterback out of whack. The first 3 weeks, I was like, you guys aren't really doing.
This is where they hit their stride.
I was like, what are these packages? We got 3 corners on the field and no safeties.
Yeah.
It's all backers and linemen, and Patrick Queen's playing deep lefts. He's pretty much an outfielder right now. What's happening right? Or not Patrick Queen.
No, Roquan Smith.
I was just like,
Patrick Queen doesn't look like he deserves his contract right now. The Steelers.
I'm just looking at this team. And I'm like, this is the Ravens football I love to watch.
I think it just took a little bit to get an adjustment. That's why I kept preaching in the couple first few weeks.
You guys are 100% in the driver's seat of being a top 3 team in the AFC, in the NFL, and Super Bowl or bust.
Is
the pressure gone to you at all?
No, because it's more underdog mentality after the first 2 weeks of, we have to pull ourselves out of the pit.
It's almost kind of good that you guys started that way.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
Lamar plays best when he has the haters.
And the chip on his shoulder is real. Let's go into the last 2 games. I don't really want to talk too long about this game. Titans-Dolphins. Both these teams sucked.
Yeah, I don't get what these teams are right now.
I got a backup bowl, and a few months ago we crowned Tyler Huntley being one of the best backups in the league. I think that maybe he just had really good coaching in
I think the scheme fit matters a lot too, considering the Dolphin. Like, he was talking about it openly and coming into this game.
Yeah.
That he was struggling to get timing down with Waddle and with Hill just due to their speed, due to the route running that they do in this offense. They had, I think, the league leading illegal shifts this week as well. Like, they're the even outside of Huntley, the timing was just off for everybody, and I think the system may be too complex for a backup just to step into.
I don't think it's complexity. I think it's this system has been figured out. Teams now have had 2 full seasons to look at the tape, and they're like, okay, we know how to minimize it.
Yeah, they need to find a little bit something. They need to dumb down the offense and just get to consistent, close to the line, and let your playmakers go.
They like to stretch the field.
Yes.
They like to use their speedy guys to outrun their players and get in open gaps and then run a track meet. So defenses shifted, and they said, okay, well, then we're going to drop everybody back.
Yeah.
And the only way you can beat us now is throwing short routes and having your small, speedy guys out-physical our defensive players.
Which, to me, the remedy is crossing routes. You have to start doubling down on crossing routes.
That's their
getting
whole
the
thing.
8 to 10 yards. But they're not running them. They're running them too deep.
Yeah.
Bring it into around the first down marker, and then I think you'll be in better shape.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes. I think Mason Rudolph needs to start the rest of the season for the Titans.
No. We've done the Mason Rudolph stuff.
I think if the Titans want to have competent play, that's the best method. Now, as a football fan, Will Levis needs to start for the next 5 years, I want to see nothing but memes.
I want mainlined Will Levis in my vein.
Yes.
He's on a generational meme run. It's unequivocally, we haven't seen a man like this since Jameis Winston ate the W.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
We're right there. I'm trying to think, what was his week 3 moment? Because he
faulted his hands.
He had the fans. He had
the dive.
He had the dive. He had the dive this week where he messed up his AC joint, not getting the first down.
Did you see the face that he made on the sideline?
Oh my goodness!
Where he was just like, he was like in pain, but like it looked like he pooped himself. Like it was awesome.
I'm trying to think what the week 3 was. There was a moment. I just don't recall.
I forgot, but it's been like, he got sacked. He got butt sacked.
Yeah, there it is.
Some guy sacked him with his butt.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Mark Sanchez-esque.
Seattle,
this
Detroit.
Is the one true Monday night game for me. This was such a fun game to watch. It was dynamic. We saw Goff set the NFL record for completion percentage in a single game,
also
18 for 18. Also caught a touchdown. I think it was the first time someone's thrown 2 touchdowns and caught a touchdown in since the 50s.
That's awesome.
It was some ridiculous record he also set that game.
Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are truly the best 1-2 tandem I've seen in the league in a while.
Montgomery is an animal.
He's awesome.
But I mean, at the same time, I don't think anyone thought Kenneth Walker was going to come out the way he did in this game.
Don, I lost many fantasy leagues because of a 3-touchdown Kenneth Walker day.
That somersault he does.
He's awesome.
There's
a reason why he never stays healthy.
No, his body can't handle.
He runs
the
through
stuff
brick
he does.
walls.
He runs through brick walls and then wants to jump over them at the same time.
It's so impressive.
It was truly fun.
Really good game. I was at work on Monday, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
This is the game I couldn't watch. I tried to rewatch what I could today. My points were this. Jared Goff is a dome merchant.
Yes.
When that offensive line can protect him, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
And the Lions might be the most fun and rootable team to root for. Outside of my team and outside of rooting for you having a Super Bowl, I would love to see the Lions win a Super Bowl.
I'm right there with you. I love them in the NFC.
I kind of love that whole division. If I'm being honest,
it's a fun division.
I love that division.
I think the Seahawks only get better from here, considering they were missing five defensive starters coming into the game. They had lost a sixth during the game.
Doesn't that feel like that's just Seattle at this point?
But the fact, I think if they could get half of that back, if they could get their 2 tackles and at least 3 out of their 6 starters who are out right now, if they could get that core back, this team makes a huge jump forward. Like, think about Kenneth Walker did that while missing 2 starting linemen.
Yeah, I know.
What's the ceiling when he has time and when Geno has time to actually pass the ball longer?
The thing about Seattle is we may never know that.
Yeah, that's just the situation we're in.
I do like what they're building over there, though.
No, they have a lot of potential.
Let's get into Bust of the Week. I'm going to make mine very quick.
Sure.
Bust of the Week presented to you by Donovan's Room. Donovan's Room, where I like to go and hang out while he's sleeping. Donovan's Room. Go check it out. Bust of the Week for me is the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks made a huge trade. I don't want to get super into it, but the New York Knicks traded for Karl Anthony Towns, one of the league's best power forward / center / saucy boy.
Cat is awesome.
He's very good. I'm a closeted Cat fan. My problem is I think this is quite literally the worst market you could have sent him to.
Yeah.
I think the New York media, especially the Knicks, losing a Villanova boy in DiVincenzo, who's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league.
Yeah.
And losing Julius Randle, who 50-50, a lot of people didn't like him in New York at the end of it. What he did and what he was able to continue,
yeah, he was a hard-hitting, strong man in the middle that fit that play style.
He was very fun to watch.
Defensive player.
When he was healthy.
Yes.
I think he's going to fit well in Minnesota. I think they get off easy. Minnesota stays really good.
Minnesota stays very relevant.
I think it puts a lot of pressure on the New York media, and I don't know if Cat's ready to deal with the everyday, constant, just
hounding
chirping.
and questions. Yeah.
New York is tough, and I think breaking up the Villanova Knicks for Cat might be a bad reaction to losing a center to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I forgot his name.
Yeah, I think they overcorrected there. For me, my bust of the week is going to be the Raiders. Just the saga since this weekend with Antonio Pierce liking a post saying that this is Adams' last snap with the Raiders. Questions about if Adams was even hurt last week with a hamstring, or was it a team-induced hamstring injury?
We know the answer now. He requested a trade today. The handling of this by the team organization is terrible. It's been awesome.
It has been a dumpster fire that is just happening in a field and everyone's just walking around to watch.
I think the Raiders are about to press the eject button and just be like, all right, Antonio Pierce, you're gone after this season.
Yeah.
We're going to trade away the pieces we can. I think Devontae Adams will get traded in a few weeks. We'll figure out what happens. I think they very much were like, we clearly had a small little window and we're just not there anymore. Let's try to figure out, because the Chargers have gotten good really fast and the Chiefs are still the Chiefs and the Broncos are in purgatory forever. But let's try not to be this right now.
Yeah, you could tell they're pulling the eject button on the entire team. But the disrespect that they showed to one of the longtime stars of the league.
Yeah, he's great.
Like, he's amazing. And just seeing your head coach throwing shade is the most disrespectful thing.
It happens. If there is one position to get in beefs, it's wide receivers. Coaches.
They're all divas, but
every single one.
Just seeing it taken to social media in a very public way, like that,
everyone
does
it now. It's I don't know. Let's get into play ball. We're gonna go into our picks for 7 games of next week. My record last week, I was 3-4, not good. My record on the season is 9-12. Don, you're 11-9. Let's get out of this. Let's have a winning week. Let's have a good week.
Let's do it. Let's rebound.
Don, what's your pick on the Thursday Night Football game? Buccaneers versus Falcons. Who you got?
For me, I'm taking Bucks -2 in this game. You saw Vita Vea back last week, and he was just a punishing force. I think he's
Wait
the
a
most.
minute. You got Bucks -2?
That's where the line was floating when it opened up.
Okay.
Yeah, you saw Vita Vea come out. I think he's the most important defensive tackle outside of Chris Jones right now in the league. He is a run stuffer. He's
very
the
good.
heart and soul of this defense to me right now. And the big reason for it is Bijan is not performing up to levels that everyone expected for him this season. You have the Falcons putting up very middling numbers, 17th best offense, 20th in expected points per game based on Vegas lines. They are just not efficient on the offensive side of the ball yet.
I think they're going to get there.
They will get there. In my mind, they will eventually figure something out. But when you have Mike Evans, when you have Godwin playing out of his mind right now, you have the explosiveness of Bucky in the backfield.
Bucky and White, like they're a good one too.
They're a good one too. You have Baker playing with a boulder on his shoulder right now.
I love it.
I don't know how they're going to keep up, even if it's a divisional game.
I have the Buccaneers +1.5. That's where the line's sitting at right now.
That's even better. Even better.
I will take it at +1.5. I will take the money line. I really do like this team. Saying that the Falcons are getting better, and it does a little scare me. A lot of the public money is on the Buccaneers. We should definitely go Falcons.
Nothing on the Falcons team has made me think they will keep up.
And the Buccaneers have shown us multiple times that they're a good team.
Yes.
But let's just go Buccaneers. I think we're getting. I'm going to get in my head. Let's just go Buccaneers.
The biggest thing that showed me last week on where I'm confident now, Saquon Barkley,
great player,
arguably one of the best running backs in the league,
probably having the best running back
this
season so far.
He had 4 touches in the second half last week.
Yeah, I think that was just
1 touch in the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well, they were down a lot.
But they weren't even using him out of the backfield.
Yeah,
they just did not get him the ball, and he was the star offensive player. Like Dallas Goedert was the only other guy.
Yeah, because A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are out. I think
exactly. But so to me, it's either did the Buccaneers defense adjust and scheme a running back out of the game completely?
I think they did.
Which I don't know if Kirko could keep up if Bijan's gone, if Algier is gone.
If he's just going to be like, all right, figure it out with Mooney and London.
Yeah, I don't know if that offense can do that.
That's totally fair. Let's go into the Jets-Vikings London game over the pond.
Yes.
Jets-Vikings. I already know your bet.
Vikings -2.5. -2, -2.5. I've seen the line float between the two.
It's 2.5 right now.
Yeah. For me, I'm not too worried. Vikings lead the league in sacks, lead the league in interceptions, and they are still a top 8 defense for lowest completion rate against that defense. Rodgers has struggled pushing the ball down the field. He is second fewest yards per attempt, and he is one of the 6th lowest intended yards per pass. Like he is the 6th lowest.
He's not pushing the ball down the field.
No, he's not. He's the 6th lowest QB throwing the ball down the field and 8th worst expected completion rate. He is above Bo Nix and Skylar Thompson in expected completions.
He's behind Skylar.
He's just a touch above. Like he sits 8th on that list. Skylar Thompson sits 7th worst, and Bo Nix is right there.
I also have the Vikings. It's just
the Jets' defense is good. That's the fear.
It's
the
a
Jets'
London
defense
game.
is good.
That's my thing.
Yeah,
it's in London, which we all know anything can happen there.
These games get sloppy. These games get messy. But I'm trusting the elite talent.
But doesn't it feel like the Jets off of like a terrible correct it, and they're like, maybe we give the ball to Breece Hall more than Braylon Allen this week, because like that's probably the better idea.
That is the better idea to me coming in this week, but I don't think Garrett Wilson will be of much relevance. The Vikings defense is going to lock him up and go. Where are you going to go?
Conklin on the corner and be like, go.
Yeah, so it's going to be
Alan
Breece.
Lazard.
Alan Lazard is not going to take over a game.
He's done fine.
But when you're throwing in Addison and Jefferson, I'm curious on where the Jets offense will come from.
Let's go into the next game. It is the Bills-Texans. Some would say the best game of the week. Texans winning out of the skin of their teeth.
Yes.
They've been doing really well. C.J. Stroud showing you why he's one of the premier quarterbacks in this league. The Bills just got embarrassed on national TV.
Yes, they did.
Why do I love the Bills?
I love the Bills. They started.
Oh my God, we're stepping step right now.
They started the line this week when it opened up, they were +1. The line has switched over to -1 for the Bills based on money movement right now. Texans, 4.7 yards per carry allowed on the season. They have one of the league's worst run defenses, and this Bills squad is built to run the ball. They need James Cook going. Josh Allen will get going on the ground.
Maybe a little Josh Allen touchdown.
I like Josh Allen for a rushing touchdown. That's not something I'm ever scared of taking.
Yeah.
But I think Bills control the clock. They keep it all on the ground. It's going to be on Stroud to heave the ball downfield.
Since we're on the Texans, I want to just thought experiment.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 3 names.
Okay.
You tell me which one doesn't match.
All right.
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Nico Collins.
Oh, Nico Collins does not match that list, but
why?
He's putting up crazy stats.
Why doesn't he?
Why
can't we say he's the 3rd best wide receiver in this league?
I think the issue is he has yet this might be his coming out year, but he has yet to have that complete alpha season.
Yeah,
where he is making the tough contested catch for the 60-yard first down that Justin Jefferson can do.
Well, Jefferson's it's literally him and Jamar Chase.
It's him and Jamar Chase.
CD like kisses it sometimes.
Yeah, I think those guys are just complete game wreckers.
Yeah,
and you just have to force feed them the ball. Whereas if Nico's having a great game, great. But with the Texans offense, if Nico gets only 60 yards in the game, I'm not worried about Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs because they're going to step up and replace that.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue with Nico is he's not the one and true alpha on the team.
That is true. Like, if Jefferson and Chase aren't on it, that whole offense could like crumble.
Yeah, they could. Yeah. They're going to struggle.
Although Addison's been really good.
Addison's a great number 2.
Great number 2. Giants Seahawks. We got the Giants visiting the Seattle Seahawks after a big loss. Both these teams coming off of losses.
Yes.
Right now we had the line at -6.5 for the Seahawks. I think the Giants are going to be covering everything this year. I think this year I'm going to be tailing the Giants a lot until they teach me not to. I'm taking the Giants +6.
I want to take this early at the Seahawks. I think when Neighbors is ruled out, this line shifts very quickly.
I think so too.
And I'm taking the Seahawks early on this one because of that. I don't think Neighbors is going to play this week. I'm just gut feeling that concussion looks rough. He's
still in protocol, and this year they've been protocol. They've been pretty good about like not playing guys who are in concussion protocol.
Exactly. And so the idea that Wan'Dale Robinson is going to become the number 1 target does not worry me about this offense right now. Giants defense is solid. With the O-line for the Seattle banged up, that does worry me a little bit. But you saw the Cowboys be able to scheme out the Giants defense. They were able to figure it out by the second half. They were able to move the ball efficiently.
They still only scored 20 points.
The Seahawks scheme against the Lions D-line, which I think is arguably scarier for the most part. And you still saw a efficient game from Geno. You still saw a great game from Ken Walker. If the Giants cannot score and are pushing 100% on the defense, the Seahawks only need 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and they'll be in control.
Yeah, but I get that. It just feels like
this feels like a trap.
Back-to-back 3 Seattle high-scoring fluting offense games. It's got to hit the buck eventually. There's got to be an under game.
This is heat check for them.
They lost the last game. They still scored, 25 points?
Yeah.
31 points, something like that. I'm ready to say that the Giants are going to get this game ugly. They'll lose by probably exactly 5.5, and the over will hit perfectly. Yeah, my line though is like, if it gets down to 5.5, I'm not taking it. 6 is the number I'm taking it at. Anything less than that, I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks.
Sure.
What's the number for you?
For me, it's 7. Like
if it gets to 7.5, are you taking Giants?
I would start leaning Giants a little bit, but I think by a touchdown, Seattle has it.
Cool. Let's go into the next game. It is the afternoon game, the Packers versus Rams. I am excited. Jordan Love started to look like he was coming into shape.
Yes.
The Rams are playing Stafford. They're fun. They're not the most feisty team. I did believe in the Rams a little bit more before the season, and I still believe that they're going to somehow figure out a way to get in the playoffs or at least flirt about it.
Yeah, they need Puka. They need Kupp back. They need one of the two right now.
They'll be there in a few weeks.
They'll be there in a couple weeks, but considering the move to Jordan Whittington over Tyler Johnson as the number 1.
Very good rookie.
Very good rookie. Does not scare me.
No.
Like, not with this Packer defense playing the way it is right now.
Good defense.
Rams still rank 31st in the league right now for points and yards
Which
for
is
their
so
offense.
sad from
It's-
like a Sean McVay.
That's not what you expect out of this team ever. But it's just injuries are racking up right now. The run game is their only thing, and it's still one of the bottom tier run games because everyone knows just stack the box against Kyron.
Yeah, come get him.
Yeah, come get him because there's not a whole lot of guys. Like Tutu doesn't strike fear into me. On the other side, I think Love playing just an average game for what we know Love can do, and I think they could secure it.
I love the over in this game. It's 47.5.
I'm not mad at it.
I think there's points in this game.
Yeah.
I know it's a high over-under compared to the rest of the league. I think Jaden Reed is such a special player.
He has the possibility for going for 2 touchdowns in a game.
I think Wicks is going to emerge as the number 2. Dobbs
Yep.
is good. I think Kraft is good. I think the running game for the Packers is going to get solved. I think the Rams are going to mess around and just score 17, 21 points. That feels like their wheelhouse right now.
Yeah, that feels
seems
like their extent.
their offensive limitations. But I feel like the Packers can go for 35. I think the Packers are going to try to flex and be like, we're fun in this division. I know a lot of people are talking about the Bears and the Vikings and the Lions. This is our division. We've owned this for decades. Bow down to us.
I think this is their let's make up for last week. Let's show that Love is back.
Let's go into the Sunday night game. Cowboys versus Steelers. Don, ugly game of the week.
Ugly game of the week without a doubt here. Matchup neither of these teams want right now.
I already know there's going to be a point where I'm sitting on the couch. Me and you were looking at each other Sunday night, and we're just like, why are we watching this?
Why is this the prime time?
Dirty game?
I understand it's a rivalry matchup. It's a throwback
Super Bowl
rivalry.
rivalry from the 70s.
But at the same time, even with Fields rushing for 2 touchdowns last week, the Steelers' offense doesn't worry me. The Cowboys' offense is basically CD, Ferguson, end of list. Like, there's no one that strikes fear that can go and take over. I think I've been touting Rico Dowdle. I think he's the number 1 running back on this team. I still think he's a bottom tier running back in the league.
I don't think he's good at all.
He needs to be only used as a scat back in my mind. On the flip side, Dallas's defense looks beat up. They don't look like they're playing well at all. But you still have Diggs being the opportunist who's been trying to go for picks.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, he's
like jumping
selling
routes and stuff.
out on to get an interception right now.
Trying to get paid again.
He's trying to get
Gotta
paid.
get paid, gotta
I
get the
think
numbers
this might be the week where it happens, considering how rough the Steelers' offense is. But the Steelers' defense got exposed last week. Flacco diced them up.
So, I don't think the Steelers' defense got exposed last week.
No?
What I think happened was all right.
They showed their vulnerability. I should put it that way. They showed vulnerability.
I think the Colts showed what all Colts fans knew already, and that there are underrated weapons on this team.
Yes.
We have the best offensive line in football right now. The Colts just do. It's electric. We have a very good running game when Jonathan Taylor hits the holes. Our wide receivers are good. Up and down the board. Doolin is good.
I think Downs could turn into your alpha.
I don't think he is. I think it's still Adonai Mitchell, even though he only has 2 catches on the season. He's just a freak athlete. Michael Pittman's very good for what he does.
Very consistent.
I think we have a bunch of good receivers that if they were switched with Atlanta's, people would be like, wow, Atlanta's doing way better.
Yeah.
Or across the board. I think if Aaron Rodgers had these weapons, a lot more people would be like, wow, the Jets running more efficient offense. I think that's all it was.
Sure.
And I think Steichen clearly has shown he knows how to call plays for a certain type of quarterback. Anyway, outside of that, I think this game is going to be boring. I think this game is very similar to the Giants Cowboys game from Thursday night.
Yeah.
I'm taking the under 45 and a half.
I'm taking CD over 80.5 yards in this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's going to kind of require for the Cowboys to win in my mind. Dak is still averaging over 220 per game right now.
What's the highest you will take that line?
I would take it up to 93. That's where I feel comfortable right now with CD. They're going to force feed him the ball because this defense is going to be a problem. The Steelers' defense is going to be a problem.
Big problem.
If the Cowboys want to get something going, they're going to just have to get CD out of the backfield like they've done, or it's going to be garbage time.
Don, last game. It's the Monday Night Football game. The Saints versus the Chiefs. I also hate this game. The Chiefs are banged up. I think the Saints offense has been figured out against this really good Chiefs defense, defense I've talked about.
Yep.
I'm going back-to-back unders. The Undertaker is officially out for the first time this year. I'm taking 2 unders in our pick'ems. Give me the under 42.5.
Not mad at that. For me, I'm taking the Saints +5 in this matchup. They're missing playmakers. Mahomes' passer rating is under 90 this season. First time in 5 years that has happened. He has no weapons. I'm trying to pounce on it. And that's mainly because of the Saints defense. They are the number 7 scoring defense in the league right now. They shut teams down very, very well. One of the only 2 teams to be top 8 in scoring offense and scoring defense. I think that they come and make a rebound after a rough week last week.
Where are you at with money line for this Saints game?
I'd flirt with it. I think the Chiefs still are going to win an ugly game. I feel more confident in the spread, but I love
5.5.
But I think I'm going to sprinkle it. I'll sprinkle a money line, just a small amount, just to have some fun.
We're almost there. It's the question of the day. I'm going to make this quick.
Sure.
The NBA, the MLB playoffs have started.
Yep.
There's a couple teams in there that you and I are pretty fond of. As a Dodger fan, as a Yankees fan, we're sitting kind of pretty.
Yeah, no, it's sitting very good.
I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
Outside of your team, what is the team you are most excited to see maybe make a playoff run? Do you want me to rattle off some team names for you?
If you want to. Because there's a difference there. Because I think the Padres have a shot at it.
Everyone says that.
I don't want them to.
That's not the question,
No, I know that's not the question. I think that they have the opportunity to, but I'm not rooting for them to.
Because I would love to see the Mets do it. I don't think the Mets are going to.
No, I don't think the Mets are going to. For me, I always try to pick one of those Central Division teams.
You're such a Cleveland Guardians I'll take them.
I'll take the Guardians.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to pitch everyone to death to get into this. Their bullpen is solid. Their starting rotation is great.
You into the Phillies at all?
No, I don't think the Phillies have the depth
Red
this
October
season. No. I mean, they're going to hunt for it, but...
Can I tell you my team?
Sure, let's hear it.
I'm an Orioles guy. I've always been an Orioles guy. You know I'm an Orioles guy. You want to get in on the Orioles with me?
I think...
In case the Yankees and the...
No. If the Yankees play the Orioles... I think Orioles win it, to be honest. They are Yankee killers right now. Mm-hmm. But if the Orioles do not face the Yankees in any of the matchups, I think Yankees could make a run there. That's my hesitation for the Orioles.
So outside of the Yankees and outside of the Dodgers, because you're a Yankees guy, I'm a Dodgers guy, I would take the Orioles. You would take the Padres.
I'm just going to have fun with it. I want to have fun. Let's root for Cleveland. Just something.
That's good.
Just something out there.
I like the Guardians.
I think it'd be a fun time.
It would be really cool if the Guardians win a World Series and everyone
I at least
hates
want them to
their
get
name.
a pennant. I at least just get there. I want to see the Guardians and fans go, yeah, but we still need to change the name.
Yeah, we still hate everything about this team.
Yes.
I love it. Last thing, pick of the week. Yep. Don, what's your pick of the week?
For me, I'm taking the 49ers -7.5 in this one. For San Francisco's back to full strength minus McCaffrey, who's dealing with that Achilles tendonitis issue in both ankles, or in both knees, I should say. But they stomped the Patriots out last week. Arizona, coming in this week, is looking at their 5th largest home defeat in the last 35 years. Washington just came out and embarrassed them. They have 2 explosive players, but I just don't see them beating up on their big brother. 49ers have had their number. In the last 4 matchups, 49ers have won by at least 16 points.
What?
In the last 4 Arizona 49ers matchups. Arizona has weapons, but I don't know how they're going to keep up. I'm in. Especially with Warner's interception last week. The 49ers defense is back.
My pick of the week. My throat exploded right now.
Yeah, I was
don't know what happened.
What was going on there?
Don't know what happened. My throat just said, "You're done."
Just
closed up. So I'm gonna make this quick. I was gonna make this quick college football rundown, real fast. Last week we had one of the best college football games I've seen in a long time. Georgia, Alabama.
Great game.
I gave you my mortal lock, Alabama to win money line. This week, I give you Michigan money line. I love them. They're going to be good. They're going to hammer. They're plus 110 right now going to Washington. That Washington team's not that good.
No.
Go hammer Michigan.
I think that's an interesting matchup, the replay of the championship game last week, or last season.
Last season.
I like Michigan.
Two completely different teams.
Two completely different teams, but Michigan has been rolling compared.
I'm so excited. Now. Washington was like a team that I thought like could sneaky mess around and be good because I like Will Rogers. I think they might be bad.
It's a rough year. It's a rough year ahead. Like, I don't think that they're going to be a very bad team, but they're not flirting with playoffs.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Bus Picks. My throat exploded on this show. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Dio. That's Don. And remember, pray for
the parlay and Dio's throat.
In my throat.